Okay. All right. So welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I am incredibly excited to introduce you our guest today, Dr. Samir Osmanagich. Dr. Osmanagich is a renowned researcher, author, and explorer whose work has sparked curiosity and debate across the world. He attended the prestigious Second Gymnasium High School in Sarajevo, a school known for nurturing some of the brightest minds. He went on to earn a bachelor's degree in economics and political science from the University of Sarajevo, followed by a master's in international economics. His passion for uncovering ancient mysteries led him to pursue a PhD in sociology of history, with a particular focus on the Mayan civilization. Beyond his academic achievements, Dr. Osmanagich is perhaps best known for his research on the Bosnian pyramids in Visoko, a project that continues to captivate visitors and researchers alike. His exploration challenges conventional views on history and human consciousness, and his work invites us to question and reimagine the past. So I'm very thrilled to have you here and to share your insights, experiences, and personal journey. So we'll start with a question. What initially led you to believe that the hills in Visoko are actually pyramids? I'm just going to move to show what the Pyramid of Sun looks like. So how did this happen? What happened? What's the story there?
Hello, Jana. Thanks for having me in this interview, and thanks for the introduction. I've been researching pyramids and megalithic sites for over 4 decades. And you're right, my PhD was about the Mayan pyramids in the countries of Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Belize. The Mayan civilization built over 100,000 pyramids, and 97% of them have been covered by soil and vegetation. But then I've expanded my research in Peru, 300 pyramids there, Bolivia, Acapena Pyramid Complex, China, 250 pyramids in the central province of Shanxi, Indonesia, Gunung Padang, 28,000 years old pyramid, Kocher Pyramid in Cambodia, even a pyramid hill in eastern Australia, in the town of Gympie. Unfortunately, this pyramid hill, which was shaped like four-sided pyramid, was destroyed last year. Then, of course, pyramids in Egypt, 155 of them. I have personally visited and investigated, 224 of them in northern Sudan, Nubian pyramids, 104 on Canary Islands, 7 on the island of Mauritius. Pyramids in the US, they call them mounds. Just in the southwestern corner of the state of Illinois, Cahokia National Park is a home for 120 stepped pyramids. In other words, traveling the world, writing, I got 20 books behind me. I realized that the world of the past was the world of pyramids. And majority of them have been covered by soil. They are in the jungles, in the forests, like in Central America or China or Indonesia. And to answer your question now, back in 2005, while I still lived in Houston, Texas, I came to the town of Visoko in central Bosnia to visit the local museum. And then I saw what's behind your head. Everybody called it a natural hill because it is covered by forest, which was planted back in 1960s and 1970s. But I was looking at the geometry. I could see 4 sides, 4 triangular faces, 4 corners, and the same slope from the bottom to the top. In other words, this was 4-sided pyramid. So back in 2005, I said, well, let me check the orientation. And one side was perfectly oriented to the north, the one in the back south, to the left east, to the right west. Mother Nature does not make hills with four sides, four triangular faces, and the perfect orientation. But the orientation I already knew because all the pyramids in China, Egypt, or Peru, they've been oriented to the north, cosmic north. So back in 2005, I came back from Houston in the summer. I started doing some preliminary work. I got permission from the Ministry of Culture. I was doing geological core drilling, archaeological trenches, lab analysis, everything we did. They were telling me anomalies, meaning not made by Mother Nature. So by October of 2005, I wrote my first book about the discovery. I had a big press conference in the city of Sarajevo, and I announced the news that the first European pyramids have been discovered in the heart of Bosnia. And this is how the project started back in 2005. And in the meantime, it has become the most active archaeological site in the world.
Sorry, turned off my audio. How do you think the Bosnian pyramids compare to other ancient structures like those in Egypt and Central America? You mentioned north alignment with the Asian ones, but what about the others?
Well, the pyramids in China, they are perfectly oriented to the north. Indonesia also, Cambodia also. Gympie was also oriented to the north. Egyptian, Nubian, Peruvian, Bolivia. So this is one common feature. The second one is the local materials. Of course, in Egypt, they used limestone and granite from Aswan. In Mexico, they used sandstone and granite. In Peru, they used adobe bricks. In Bosnia, what they used? They used concrete. How did they make concrete? Well, while drilling the tunnels under the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids, it's not just one. The one behind you is the biggest one, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. But in the meantime, we discovered a total of 6 pyramids. One big tumulus, tumulus is a conical artificial hill, and a smaller one, and a huge network of underground tunnels. Well, those tunnels, they've been built in the material called conglomerate. Conglomerate is a natural material. It consists of pebbles, sand, and rocks. So they are removing the conglomerate in order to build the network of tunnels. They have removed millions of tons of, pebbles and sand and rocks. What did they do with it? They use it to make concrete. Well, today, when we want to make concrete, we use, sand and cement. And they had sand and rocks, and instead of cement as the binding material, they used melted clay. When it, became solid, it was much better binder than what we can do today. Since we have a concrete material, you can determine the quality of the concrete based on 2 elements. The first one is hardness. The harder the material, it's more durable and a better quality. Our concretes today, in 21st century, they are in the range from 10 megapascals to 60 megapascals, 60 being the hardest concrete made in Germany and the US. The concrete from the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, after we have analyzed 50 samples in 7 different institutes, they are in the range from 74 to 155 megapascals. We cannot make such a good quality concrete like the Bosnian pyramid builders did. The second element to determine the quality is the water absorption. If the water can get inside the concrete during the winter times, it freezes, and the ice has a tendency to expand, and concrete breaks. Well, we have norms that allow up to 3% in water absorption. And the Bosnian pyramid concrete is only 1%. It's superior. So the second element, besides the orientation, the construction material. Here in Bosnia, we have superior construction material, and it is based on the local resources. Of course, the element of geometry has to be present. Great majority of the pyramids around the world are four-sided pyramid. The next element is the chambers and passageways inside the pyramid. Well, using geophysical methods, we realize that inside the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, we have 7 levels of passageways and a great number of chambers. Of course, in the case of Egyptian pyramids, so far, 3 chambers have been discovered and different passageways. The next element, underground tunnels. Under the Giza Plateau in Egypt, we have those 3 big pyramids, the Great Pyramid of Egypt, or Khufu, Khafre, and Mykonos. We have 4 levels of tunnels. In the case of Bosnian pyramids, we have the most extensive underground tunnel network ever. So far, we discovered entrances to 2 levels of the tunnels, and we cleared 3.5 kilometers of those tunnels. And we suspect that the original network had 7 levels of tunnels and close to 100 kilometers of those tunnels. The next element is the water. The water, of course, means life, but not only that. Running water presents kinetic energy. As we know, the Egyptian pyramids, all of them have been built near the river Nile, the largest African river. The pyramids in China, Mexico, or Peru are always built near the rivers. In the case of Bosnian pyramids, we have 2 major rivers. We call them River Vojnica and River Bosna. And a lot of underground water flows. Why is that important? As I said, water moves, it brings kinetic energy, but also with the water movement, we have generation of the negative ions, and they are very beneficial. We can mention them a little bit later. Now we're talking about the common elements. So now we can see that there are many common elements that goes with the pyramid complexes on different continents. What does that mean? Does it mean that the ancients, were sharing the knowledge? It is very possible. But of course, the major question is, what was the purpose of pyramids? And what I can witness, in the last 200 years, Egyptologists, they've been keeping their project, the pyramid investigation, jealously. They were guarding it from other experts. And that's the reason why, after 200 years, we don't really have a good questions. Who really built Egyptian pyramids? When they were built? How did they do it? And what was the purpose? Of course, we have bedtime stories that they were built by the pharaohs of the 4th dynasty with tens of thousands of slaves. It was used as a tomb for the pharaohs. Well, according to the non-scientific Wikipedia, there are 118 pyramids in Egypt, but I have personally investigated 155. But that's not the major problem. The major problem for Egyptology is that not a single mummy had been discovered in the pyramids. Of course, the pharaohs have been buried, but where? In the Valley of Kings, 600 kilometers to the south from the Giza Plateau. In their capitals like Thebes, Memphis, Abydos, Dendera, not in the pyramids. So in 21st century, we really need to use interdisciplinary scientific approach to answer those major questions regarding the pyramids.
Thank you so much for that. So I was going to ask, are there any specific cultural or historical connections that support the idea of pyramids being built in this region? And also, you've mentioned that apart from bedtime stories, we don't really have, clarity about who built these pyramids, and they're commonly occurring across our planet. do you have, having worked with the pyramid of the sun, have you got any inclination, like any idea that you feel feels right and resonates deeper?
The question who is the major question in archaeology. We have 5 questions. The first one is what? What we have in Bosnia is the pyramid complex. The second one is who. My answer is very advanced civilization, and I will explain that. The third question is when. Well, we have done 28 radiocarbon dating analysis, 12 luminescence analysis, and 7 uranium-thorium analysis. Those 3 scientific methods are major when it comes to determination of, age. Well, everything is taking us back to 30,000 years before present. And then, of course, we have a question, well, who lived 30,000 years back? Who was able to build such huge structures? Because the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, according to the most sophisticated method, which is called LiDAR technology, is at 368 meters in height. The Great Pyramid of Egypt is 146.5, so Bosnian is 2.5 times higher and more than 20 times the volume of the Great Pyramid of Egypt. In the case of Egyptian pyramid, more than 6 million tons of material were used. In the case of Bosnian pyramids, tens of millions of tons, tens of millions of the best quality concrete. So obviously only very advanced civilization who were able to manipulate with huge quantities of material was able to do that, to build something like that. But that's not all. 3 major pyramids in Bosnia, Sun, Moon, and Dragon, when we connect their tops, they give you the distances between the top of 2,180 meters from Sun to the Moon, 2,180 from Moon to the Dragon, and 2,180 from Dragon back to the Sun. So this is an equilateral triangle. This equilateral triangle is element of sacred geometry. When you have elements of sacred geometry, you have the movement of the energy. And that's the key question when we try to answer another question, why? Well, when you have those elements, such as equilateral triangle, hexagon, number pi, 3.14, number phi, golden section, 1.618, golden section or Fibonacci spirals, you have movement of the energy. So when answering who, somebody knew the power of elements of sacred geometry. In the case of Giza pyramids, for example, Great Pyramid of Egypt, it has 4 triangular faces. Each one is equilateral triangle. In the case of Bosnian pyramids, we have 1 triangle between tops of 3 pyramids, and the second triangle is between the tops of the Pyramid of Love, Temple of Mother Earth, entrance to the tunnels, and River Fonica. Triangle within a triangle, sacred geometry. And then when it comes to the Fibonacci spiral, which is the cosmic model for the life. For example, you have this spiral in the case of seashells, all the way to the spiral galaxies. Well, in the case of Egyptian pyramids, we start with this golden section spiral or Fibonacci spiral from the King Tut's chamber, that's underground chamber, and the Egyptologists think that it belonged to the King Tut, who was most probably the true builder of Egyptian pyramids tens of thousands of years ago, not 4,550 years. So that's the beginning of the spiral, and on the line of the spiral, we have tops of all 3 pyramids. In the case of Bosnian pyramids, we have a total of 7 golden section spirals. One of them starts from the top of the Love pyramid. On this line, we have top of the Sun pyramid, we have top of the Temple of Mother Earth, and we have Tumulus in Vratnica. Another one, the mouth of 2 rivers, the top of the Sun pyramid, entrance to the tunnels, the tumulus, and so on. So the ancient builders were very careful how to lay out their structures. And I'm still answering your question, who? Well, now we can see that they were very smart. The best quality concrete, huge structures, element of sacred geometry. But it all leads me to the answering the question, why? Well, archaeologists, historians, geologists, they cannot help us. We needed the real scientists, people with the scientific instruments, because if you can measure something, you can scientifically prove that. Well, in the last 15 years, we had several teams of engineers and physicists. When it comes to physicists, quantum physicists, and nuclear physicists, electrical engineers, sound engineers, telecommunication engineers, medical doctors. So what we've been measuring on the very top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, there is an energy beam, which is 4.5-meter diameter. It's 28 kilohertz frequency. It is electrical in nature, but also ultrasound in nature. Well, this energy beam, as it moves away from the top, is getting stronger and stronger. And this is not very logical, but in science, there is a name for this phenomenon. It is scalar waves. Scalar waves have been investigated by first our genius Nikola Tesla 125 years ago, and in the last 50 years by Russian physicists. And they both concluded that scalar waves move quicker than the speed of light. Or to be more precise, information within the scalar field move quicker than the speed of light. So our first conclusion about the purpose of pyramids, the communication devices. The second one, I mentioned the tunnels. So far, 7 entrances, the most popular Ravne tunnels, which are visited by tens of thousands of people every year. People feel inside very calm. They can breathe so well. As a matter of fact, deeper they go, they breathe better and better. And this is not very logical. But as you know, Jana, nothing in Bosnia is logical. If you go to the coal mine after 10, 20 meters, no oxygen. But in our case, you go deeper and oxygen level is always the same, about 20%. People with the respiratory problems, they breathe so well that, let's say, people with asthma, once they get out, they don't need inhaler, that air pump no more. People with a high blood pressure, it gets normalized. People with a high sugar in the blood, high glucose in the blood, it drops 5, 7, 8 points. People with the pains are gone. Sometimes after 1 visit, sometimes after 5 or 10 days. So our second conclusion, as far as the purpose of the Bosnian pyramids, they were built to protect what is the most precious to us, and that would be our health. And you see how now it's becoming very logical, communication on very long distances, health protection. The third one, the most important liquid in our life, and that would be water. We have discovered 5 tunnels with the water, which we analyzed, comparing it to our city water or our bottled water. Our city water, of course, people are telling us, oh, it's healthy to drink because there are no microbes, there are no viruses, bacteria, and fungi. Of course, they are not, because it's been treated by chlorine, and chlorine is a poison. All our life we've been drinking poison. In some countries, including yours, Australia, fluoride has been added. UK, Republic of Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, US, Argentina, Chile, and so on. The fluoride, just until 50 years back, it was exclusively poison for rats. Not only that fluoride attacks our nerve system, but it closes our pineal gland, which is our window to the world of spirituality. Of course, the water in the Bosnian pyramid tunnels, it's not been treated, but it does not have viruses, bacteria, or fungi. Why? Because of the highest concentration of beneficial negative ions, which I mentioned earlier. Negative ions, they are like a barrier for all microbes. pH is perfect, 7.45. So pH from 0 to 14, 7 is neutral, but our blood is not neutral. Our blood is 7.35 to 7.45. And guess what? The water from the pyramid tunnels, 7.45. Ideal. So this water, it vibrates high. What does it mean it vibrates high? This is not the terminology they teach us in schools. Well, when we think about the purpose of our life, we are what we drink. If we drink the water which is energetically dead, it won't, lift our energy level up. If we drink the pyramid water, of course, it's going to improve our vibration. We are what we drink, we are what we eat, we are what we think, we are where we spend our times in the nature or in front of this magical box called TV, which is filling us with the fear and so on. So, our third conclusion about the purpose of pyramid was it was there to improve molecular structure of the water. Number 4, to improve molecular structure of food. We've done experiments with the seeds of beans, and we realized once we planted them that they grow 3 times quicker and richer and healthier than the control group. The pyramid energy, it improves our spiritual senses. The pyramid energy, it improves our immunity. So step by step, we have realized that pyramid energy affects almost all walks of our life. And now it all makes sense. Why would somebody build, let's say, Great Pyramid of Egypt, 6 million tons of blocks for one dead body? And in the meantime, incorporating so much astronomical knowledge, calendar knowledge, geometrical knowledge does not make sense. But if you build a complex that will last almost forever and that will serve your community, improving the health and the life and agriculture, and then it all makes sense. So when you said in the introduction that our research has been sparkling a lot of debates and so on, controversy, well, yes, we revolutionarily changed the narrative about the pyramids. They were not built for one dead body. They do not belong to the past. They were built for the communities, and they belong to our future.
Thank you for that. Just listening to you, it makes me think, what does it feel like for you to be facing a discovery that captivates your mind and captivates your spirit and your interest, and to be facing the situation that you do? And also, yeah, because we know that, well, I know that many people, including Novak Djokovic, have spoken about positive experiences they've had there. And yeah, so one part of the question is, what's it like for you to be talking with so much passion and putting yourself, your credentials, your professional life, who you are on that line to speak about what you are finding, regardless of what current archaeological community says? What is that like for you? What captivates you and your attention and drives you to keep on going?
Well, Jana, 20 years back, before the discovery, I had 2 careers. One was, of course, scientific and research, and my PhD and my books. I traveled the world writing about ancient civilizations, but basically no responsibility. You go there, you write the book, and you move on. Nobody attacks you. Some people read that book, and so on. My second career was, of course, my business career. I had a business in Houston at one time, very successful, 120 employees. And through my business, I had been financing all my travel and research. That was me 20 years back. And then all of a sudden, this greatest discovery happened. I realized it was so big that I need to devote my time and energy and my passion to this discovery. Started coming to Bosnia. Eventually, I moved back to Bosnia from United States, even though I can see that people are doing opposite. They try to leave this country, going to Western Europe, US, or other countries. But I realized it was so important globally. And even though we had so much opposition, especially from the cultural establishment, almost all archaeologists from Bosnia, geologists, historians, museums, Ministry of Culture, they all attacked me anonymously, saying there are no pyramids. Don't let him do the research. Don't give him money. Don't give him permissions. Every day, almost 2005, 2006, there are interviews with those figures talking against me. Who's this guy? He's trying to prove something which is impossible, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, once they realized that I was so patient, I established non-profit NGO because I offered them collaboration, which they refused. I said, fine, I established non-government foundation under the name Archaeological Park Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation. We started this research. When they realized that I'm there to stay, they asked European Archaeological Association to start talking against me. Archaeologists from France, from UK, from US, from Egypt, and all of a sudden you have the whole world against you. And they have very powerful tools. National Geographic, channel. They have Wikipedia. They have Encyclopedia Britannica. They have Smithsonian. Everything is under their control, and they were all writing against me. But once you realize that the scientific arguments are backing, once you realize that what you do is the right thing, once you realize that you are fulfilling your dreams, then you simply continue. Today, 20 years later, all those who were against us, they are nowhere to find publicly, even though privately they are still talking against the project. And they are not coming to see the sites. Even people from Sarajevo, which is short 30 minutes drive, they don't want to come to see what's going on. They don't want to see the tunnels. Because once they see it, then they would realize that they were wrong. They don't want to come. They talk to students, against us and stuff like that. The same thing goes for all those experts from Germany, France, UK, or US who never came here. But I said, well, if they don't use scientific arguments, then they are irrelevant. What they have are the opinions. You have people saying, oh, it's impossible to have pyramids in Bosnia. Well, this is not scientific argument. Try to prove me that the Pyramid of the Sun is not four-sided pyramid. Try to prove that this pyramid does not have perfectly oriented, four sides. Try to prove, get the samples and say, well, this is not artificially made concrete, but naturally made material. Try to prove that there is no energy beam on the top of the Pyramid of the Sun, and so on and so forth. Well, they don't have those proofs. We have them. And we have so many cases when it comes to, healing testimonials, when it comes to the elements of sacred geometry and other scientific stuff. Plus, Jana, the highest level to prove one theory or disapprove is to organize scientific conference with the independent researchers. And we had not one, but 7 such conferences, 7 international scientific conferences on Bosnian pyramids with 130 scientists from 6 continents. So when you ask me how do I feel very proud. But I can also see how the mainstream science, works. And sometimes it's a shame that people need to say stuff that they don't think, but they keep their reputation and stuff like that. But in science, the highest ideal should be search for the truth. And this is what we have on our side. So it is, scientific and archaeological aspect as the first one. But then we have energy aspects because we've been measuring, different energy phenomena. And then we have healing aspect, which I just mentioned. Every year, the Bosnian pyramid energy helps hundreds and hundreds of people with their healing problems. And then the next one, spiritual. When I say spiritual, it's not what they taught us in schools decades ago. Spirituality equals religions or religious. No, no, no. Spirituality is the development of spiritual senses. So we can sense the world beyond our physical reality. What does that mean? Our physical reality, we sense through our five physical senses. We can see, we can hear, we can touch, we can smell. But besides five physical, we have 30 spiritual senses. We can feel the energy. We can see the energy. We can see the colors of our auric field or our chakras and, their positions. We can exchange thoughts. Telepathy is spiritual sense. We can move objects with the power of our mind, with intention. Telekinesis is spiritual sense. We can even move through space and time, teleportation. And guess what? The pyramid energy helps us develop some of those spiritual senses. We have noticed in the case of some people who come here to Visoko, they realize that beside the physical, materialistic aspect, they realize, hey, there is another one, spiritual aspect of their life. So spirituality is becoming also a big part. And then in the last 10 years, we've purchased almost 100,000 square meters of neglected, swampy, muddy land, a lot of garbage. And once we did that, we've transformed this land into the most beautiful European park, which has become a regional cultural oasis, sports oasis, musical, artistic, spiritual. And every year we have international festival, which lasts with the first year of spring until the last days of fall. A lot of concerts and festivals and book promotions and yoga sessions, meditation sessions, and sport event, tennis tournaments, and so on and so forth, humanitarian aspects, a lot of events for the kids. So this project is so much more than the archaeology. If you asked me the same question back in 2006, how do I feel? Well, I would tell you, hey, I feel I'm on the top of the world because I just discovered the largest and the oldest pyramid on the planet. But today, this is what I'm telling you. With all these aspects, archaeology and science and energy and healing and spirituality and culture and sports, and we are basically talking about the new concept of living. The last few years, we can see that the new Western values have been offered. Transhumanism, upgraded human with a biochip under our skin, digital money, digital wallet, digital bank, smart city, stuff like that. But where is a man or a woman there? Where is our humanity? With AI and, we will becoming what? Androids, which would last forever? I don't think that's the future of humanity. What we offer here, Rana, as I said, a different concept in which we're going to get back harmony among us, people, and harmony with the nature.
Thank you for that. I just feel I could ask you a lot more questions, but at the same time, I don't want us to go into everything so deeply. I would like people to come to your events because you will be touring in Australia and you're coming to Perth. What other cities are you coming to?
Oh, it will be the major cities, Sydney and Melbourne and Brisbane, and so it will be like 6 or 7 cities.
What's your main intention? What are you hoping to achieve with these events?
Well, this is my second tour in Australia, and I think it's important that people who are interested or even who don't think that they are interested. They come, they hear, they start investigating by themselves. And like I said, it's not about just another new archaeological discoveries. It's much more. It's about the ancient civilizations. And obviously, they were very advanced, some of them, in a distant past. So we are not the first one, nor we are the last one. So once we realize that history of humanity is not linear, but cycle after cycle, it's going to give them a different perspective. And then they can start thinking, hey, what elements of those ancient technologies we can use in our today's life? And then of course, I would like to motivate them also to come and visit Bosnia and visit Bosnian pyramids, and they won't regret. On the contrary, they have so many people coming from different countries who wants to stay in Bosnia. They come for a week, they want to stay for the summer, and then they want to buy the property there. And so, these are some things I want to achieve.
Awesome. And I think this could be our last question, unless you have more to share. I'd like to ask you, how do you believe the Bosnian pyramids contribute to the awakening and evolution of human consciousness? Have you personally experienced growth or transformation through this project, and have visitors had or shared similar experiences?
The answer to your question is very simple. Yes, I've been witnessing my personal transformation in the last few decades. Like I told you, back in 2005, 2006, I thought it was the biggest archaeological find. Today, I realize it's much, much more than that. Because once we realize, hey, history is not what they teach us, then you start questioning almost everything you've been taught before. Once you realize there are more advanced civilizations, you ask yourself, hey, what else did they know better than us? What did they know about spirituality? What did they know about the life? What they know about the soul? They probably knew that the soul is almost immortal, that soul has the intelligence. Of course, our physical body are for one use only. And that's the reason why the elites try to keep us in this physical reality so they can instill the fear in our lives so they can easily control us. But once we realize, hey, we have a soul, soul is immortal. So why would we be afraid of anything? Why would we fear anything? Once there is no fear in our life, we become free. Once we realize that our soul can move anywhere, no limits, that's the definition of the freedom, no limits. So obviously it is so much more. So I expect that the Bosnian Pyramid Project will continue to help people awaken, to bring the different consciousness. We are not here experiencing this life, to just work and eat and drink and sleep and work and in the meantime our lives are filled with the fear of different projects. We are here, and I think that's the highest level of spirituality. We are here to share the knowledge. We are here to give. And to give. It's easy to give if you have 10 and you give one. How about you have one and you give or you share one to give? And we are here to serve the community. Once we realize that, our life will become so humble. And I think that we're going to reach that ancient wisdom.
Maybe even something higher than ancient wisdom. Who knows? But it's definitely it's almost palpable, especially this year. It feels already. I don't know. Are you in Bosnia at the moment?
Yes, I am.
I don't know what it feels like for you. It's the year of the snake, and there's already everywhere I go and whoever I talk to, there's already so much shifting and shedding of the old ways and stepping into new ways, and there's after those horrible years of COVID and all that insanity and fear-based propaganda and division and for God, it seems like that mud is allowing for so many lotus flowers blooming and blossoming everywhere I look. And even seeing so many heartwarming videos coming from our region, our former Yugoslavia. It just it's really good to see that. And yeah, I'm quite excited about the possibility of us awakening to our true nature, who we truly are, and creating something beautiful from that place of, like you said, community, serving, love, and seeing what we have in common rather than what separates us. My sister always said, like even for our country, that we had that horrible uncivil war. We had so much more in common than what actually divided us to go into such horrible divisions. But that's another story. Um, is there anything else you would like to say for the audiences here in Australia and whoever is listening?
Well, whoever is able to come and hear my presentation, I think they will be glad. And so I would just like to invite them to come, and most probably you're going to have the schedule somewhere in the text, in the description. And I think it's always very good to hear different experiences. And people who are coming from Australia, we had some, this year, we had some last year. They were so amazed with what they saw, and I think they would love that experience. So yes, the last thing is my invitation for them to come.
Brilliant. We will definitely post all the links and dates and venues and time. I look forward to meeting you in person once you come to Perth. Thank you so much for your time and for this lovely interview. And yeah, look forward to seeing you. When are you coming again? When is Perth happening?
That will be the fourth week in February.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, until then, so much love and gratitude. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.